Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back live from the Kill House. Solly here, Thursday, UK British Open Championship, presented by
Her Majesty, the Queen.
TC is here, DJ Pie is here. We're actually live in the Kill House.
We are. It may not look like it because we're on two different screens, but like I can just reach over right here.
Well, now you messed up the framing and everything.
I think it looks pretty good.
Getting some reports, on the ground that there might be a little traffic between where the players are staying and the course.
Potential media shuttle issue?
It could be a whole Kiowa situation. You know how you get from one place to the next place you're going by car? On your tires. I never put much thought into tires in the past. The thought was always to drive, what comes on my vehicle. If I had to replace them, just made the decision strictly based on price. Our friends at Cooper Tires, they know what they're talking about. Cooper has been an American company since 1914, with more than a century
really good
in the tire industry. Each Cooper tire undergoes rigorous testing and are backed by warranty, so you can trust they'll last for thousands of miles. The Coopers pride themselves on good merchandise, fair play, and a square deal. Seem like very much like just the firm handshake kind of guys.
Right. All about a square deal.
Always have and always will. Don't overpay or underbuy. Cooper Tires do what tires should do, and cost what tires should cost. All Cooper Tires are backed by limited warranty, 45-day test drive warranty, and select products are backed by treadwear mileage warranty, helping to give you confidence on the road. For complete product and warranty details, please visit coopertires.com or coopertires.ca. Go with the Coopers. Where do we start?
Well,
I want to start, Bryson.
I just saw the first comment was, "This pod sucks," and I was like, "Man, fuck you." And then I was like, "Oh, right, it's a Bryson thing. Oh, okay, I got it.
I see what you're doing, Dad. All right,
let's do Spieth. I'm buzzing. I'm buzzing about Spieth.
What are you buzzing
Go
about?
ahead.
He's back, baby. Everybody. I kept a list of everybody. You're on it. Kept a list of everybody that hated on him.
Don't do this
over the last 2, 3, 4 years.
Solly denied him 3 times.
We're back, baby.
I went back and watched if you're referring to in our season preview, I picked him to finish over under in the world rankings over 81 or whatever it was. I will defend everything I said at that point. All of those other bets missed.
Little faith.
I was awful at betting at that point. Now I'm the draft king. And I said, basically, this is what I'm doing for you guys. I am making this bet because I'm wrong on all of these, and I've made a sacrifice for all of you, and no one has thanked me. You should thank me for my service.
Unbelievably cool.
I need to go back and listen to see when the first time that I picked him for Royal St. George was, because I think it was over.
We've been talking about it for years,
2 years ago.
Years and years. It's just, it's always validating, right? When you have that feeling 2 years ago, you're like, man, everything I've seen about this place, like, that makes too much sense. And then they come play well in the first round. And now, even if he plays bad, like, we're already validated.
We're absolutely crowning him.
Exactly.
I'm ready to crown him. I'm ready to give him the claret jug.
As hesitant as I am to give TC credit, we went and played Royal Birkdale in the spring of 2017, and we're on hole like 3. He's looked at me, he's like, this is a very Spiethy course. Son of a bitch went out and won the day.
Got an eye for that stuff.
Well, man. Let's skip over some platitudes. Like, why is it a Spiethy course? Why were we so far ahead on this one? Why have we been talking about this for
funky.
so long?
You gotta hit golf shots.
And Spieth, talked about on the podcast that he was on with us, and talked about in the press conference afterward of, when he is in touch with his creative side. And almost nothing. He didn't feel like he was battling anything with his swing today. He's kind of flighting shots differently, cutting them, drawing them, kind of working it both ways, really getting creative. When his start line is not directly at the flag, I feel like he just has more fun with it and trusts his body a lot more, instead of thinking technically. And he spoke to that. And I think it has a serious effect in how he plays. I mean, it just... when it's not a driving contest, like, this guy's stock should go straight up to the top, and he's driving it actually really, really good.
When it's not a driving distance contest.
Correct.
Because it is kind of a driving contest, and we can probably get into that. I mean, you do have to put it in the fairway.
Or barely off of it.
But what you're saying is the typical week to week, what we see is it's a driving contest who can hit it the farthest while being in the corridors.
Correct.
Right. And that's not the case here.
DJ, I mean, Spieth is essentially what you aspire to. Like,
exactly.
Being an artist and never hitting a straight shot.
I think truly birds of a feather. I'm sure he'd agree with that.
I think we can't gloss over, like, the putter was hot.
But that was what I was going to say. It was like confident hot, as in pouring it in the center with the right speed. And I felt like in the majors this year, he's just been around edges, but not really getting it to the hole with the right speed. This was like no doubters. He had one bad putt. He missed a short birdie putt that actually was a lot closer than I think he thought it was going to be. But this was like, my speed is dialed on these greens, and the putter is not a question mark right now. It's an asset, which is a complete flip from what we've seen in the first few majors this year.
I think Greller looked great.
Gotta point that out.
Yeah, I mean, he looked confident. He looked totally in control. He was guiding Jordan around all over the place.
I think a big part of it, maybe I'm assigning too much value to this, but we've talked about this at Augusta and Kapalua, and there was that famous press conference he did where I think it was at Kapalua where he was talking about part of the reason I play so well is at Augusta is all the uneven lies, and I'm so used to doing that, and maybe other guys aren't. And that was the year he shot like 30 under at Kapalua and was kind of saying like, yeah, I think it's kind of the same thing. It's got to be the same thing at Royal St. George's with those fairways being outrageous, and like you can't have a flat lie out there pretty much anywhere, I would think. And you saw that with, I think, a lot of the wedges and even some of his wedges where it's like, man, someone has 104 yards and they block it 50 feet right. Like, it's so hard to tell on TV. Like, was that above their feet, below their feet? What was going on? Because that's where, like, that's what that looks like when you have those uneven lies. You're going to hit those big misses in one direction, right?
But it doesn't. What I love about this is this does not feel like we're holding on for dear life. This is not roller coaster Spieth of like composed. January and February of this year. Even this is like, no, I feel like he's going to hit the fairway when he's standing over a shot, and if he doesn't, like, I feel like it's going to be close enough that he can recover. And you can replay this back if we get to Sunday night. We have 2016 Masters all over again, but I don't feel like we're gripping onto a hope right now. This feels like a very, very real thing.
4 birdies on the front, which is the more undulating side, more in
the fun side.
Yeah, and then on the flatter side, only 2 birdies, and one of those was on a par 3. So, I think there's some credence to that.
I agree.
I'm excited. There's every reason to be excited. I think as soon as we all heard the word quirk with St. George's, we were like, oh, it's Spieth. Like, oh, it's got to be Spieth, right? It's that throws Bryson out the window, I think, pretty much. DJ, you were spot on of saying, with Rahm, like a course where luck is a factor and, kind of keeping a cool head. Rahm did not fare so well. Didn't seem to have any temper issues, I wouldn't say today, but did not have a great day. But it just Spieth checks all the boxes here.
We should say let's cover most of the golf stuff here before we get to the big golfer, which I'm sure we'll talk about for a while.
I'm trying to figure out who did
Spieth is not Spieth is not winning. By the way, Louis Oosthuizen is winning.
Yeah.
Do we want to talk about Louis? Like,
I think that's expected. Right?
I think so too.
Spieth is the favorite right now.
Really? Like the betting favorite?
Yes.
What are his odds now?
He was plus 350 the last I saw. Louis plus 450.
That's, God, what an insult to Louis. Like, hey man, I know you play well and finish in the top 5 of every one of these things, and you're leading. But like, no, we're good.
We'll say Louis hit only 42% of his, or 43% of his fairways today. So could be
that's surprising.
Could be using a little black magic.
He was bogey free today, though. Louis was
his quote after the round was like, "I made no mistakes today." So like, yeah, it was super stress free.
So that's where that number, it's so hard. They don't have strokes gain data. Yeah. Like he could have, if you're a foot off these fairways, you're not in trouble, and almost can, sometimes you can flight it better. You can get a flyer of some kind that you can help you run a ball up on the green or something, take some mystery out of how it's going to bounce.
I'll
be honest, I missed a lot of his round. I didn't wake up that early, so
it was I mean, it was what he said. Like, it's just
the highlights,
nice. Super stressful, like super nice, just really freaking nice golf. Like just hitting it to 25 feet.
Nice conditions though too.
Yeah, I mean, so was Spieth. He was a group behind Spieth, right? But it was
who's got the most money earned in majors? It's got to be Phil. In majors that you haven't won, most money earned. Louis got to be second.
Got to be up there,
right? Per start on a per start basis. So I was thinking about this.
I would say like inflation or Tiger tax adjusted. It's probably Jack though, because he's got that 17 or 20 runner ups.
So I was thinking about this because it was kind of like, all right, do we write Louis off? And I was like, well, you know what? This is the one that he won. Like he won this one by a lot in 2010. This was his major starts prior to winning the Open in 2010. Cut, 73, cut, 1.
Prior to winning the Open by 7.
And then he's finished runner-up 6 times in majors since then.
Unreal.
It's always so weird when you go from like Spieth going and winning the Masters and then having the runner-ups afterward, like in the collapse afterward, doing it in reverse order. Like it doesn't mean he can't do it, right? It's such a weird.
And then he won, and he went cut right after he won too.
Correct.
I mean, I think some of that though is owing to he's got a kind of a bizarre career arc too, and he doesn't, self-admit, like he doesn't work very hard either.
I think it's hard because I feel like we keep, Louis keeps contending, so you just feel like you keep saying the same stuff about him over and over. And it's like, man, when the golf courses get really precise and really proper, like the same guys seem to kind of show up, and Louis is obviously that guy. And he said something afterwards, just kind of reading through a bunch of transcripts. Shout out to the RNA, by the way. They interviewed like 40 guys. There's transcripts out the ass. But
we'll get to CT Pan's quotes.
We'll get to CT Pan, who shot one over and was interviewed. But reading Louis' stuff, and there's only so many ways you can phrase this, and there's only so many ways you can ask someone about, like, hey, what's it like to not win? Like, why do you keep not winning these things? And it's pretty simple to think about, but I thought it was interesting just to think about constantly, like, are you getting beat in these things, or are you beating yourself in these things, was his quote. And
it's kind of, are you a dog or a killer?
He was kind of like, man, I just, like, the last couple times, like, I've gotten beat, like the guys have just played better. And so I think,
is there a signature Louis choke moment?
No, that's
or a collapse?
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, I don't have one.
You got to be, I would imagine you have to be so mentally tough to actually keep telling yourself that, and to actually keep, like, reminding yourself of that. But also he keeps showing up, man, so he must be there. I don't know what the difference is, and I'm still obviously skeptical if we go into Sunday and the back nine and he's one ahead, or he's one behind, or he's just kind of in the mix with a bunch of guys. It doesn't seem like he's going to be the guy that comes out of that group. But, like, why could he not go out and grab the lead by 4 or 5? Like, I don't see that as outrageous.
Well, usually the formula for a guy that finishes very close to the top of majors and doesn't win a lot is kind of great ball striker, doesn't roll it very good, which is not the case.
Yeah, right.
Like Lee Westwood is who I'm thinking of, who's just always up there for many, many, many years, got like 40 career top 10s in majors and never won one because he doesn't putt good enough. And that's not the case with Louis. Like, he's number 1 on the tour in putting. And he's got, like, maybe the greatest golf swing in the world. Yeah. It really is a wonder how he hasn't won more of these, or why he only shows up for majors. But for a while, we've been saying, like, there's only one guy out there that when he wants to play his best golf, he's the only one that gets better, and that's Brooks. And I think it's time to put Louis in that group now.
Yeah.
So feeling pretty good having him in a couple lineups. So I'm in first place. No big deal. Can we do the big golfer? Do we just skip past the leaderboard to do big golfer?
We got to do. I mean, Brian Harman. He's a stud.
Always does
Harman's
stuff.
a stud.
He does. Big T.
Big T's
got him out in the
lineup.
US Open preview. He always does stuff.
I think you guys are glossing over Mackenzie Hughes a little bit. 66 to open it up.
Mackenzie Hughes turning into the song of the summer here. It's just, he's everywhere. Brian Harman's an interesting one. And I think he's, Aaron Hills was kind of famously like one of those, hey, this isn't going to be the driving contest that we already described. And Brian Harman showed up and finished second, right? And so his kind of thoughts after were, if he can, I guess his iron play just hasn't been very good, and that's kind of been the difference maker for him. He seems like he's been driving it well and putting it well, and finally figured out something with the irons this week. So I'm kind of curious. I know he missed a cut last week at John Deere, which was a place that, seems like he's kind of cleaned up at, but I wonder if, going through and thinking through some of these guys, I wonder how much, like, course experience is going to be just getting a ton of reps at this place is going to be a thing. I know Spieth got there early. I know Harman got there early. I know Hovland got there early. Like, just kind of, I'm interested to see how that kind
of. What
did
Hovland do after he won the BMW International? Because I think he took, like, he didn't play the Scottish. Did he go home to Norway and then just come to?
Who knows?
I'd say.
And then, so 6 of the top 8 guys right now, 6 of the 8 guys at 4 or better, at -4 or better, played in the morning today. So I think that's something to keep an eye on for tomorrow. Of course, Benjamin Hebert and Webb Simpson, who felt like a kind of an obvious pick for this place, but he's been playing shitty.
Yeah.
And then Stu Sink, I think he was mentioned on our previous show.
Yeah, Stu Sink. We're not gonna do a Ryder Cup segment, but, like,
might be a predator.
Kind of starting to think about it, man. And honestly, talking on the podcast with him about it, and how he was talking about how he, I think your issue with Stu's always been he kind of is 6'4" and babies the ball around.
Well, he's not doing that anymore.
And he finally said that. He's like, yeah, I'm like 6'4", and, like, I was hitting it with, like, a glancing blow for a really long time. As soon as he said glancing blow, I was like, oh my God, I'm totally hitting it with a glancing blow right now. 1 and 2 was like, that just, like, really resonated with me. Like, if he I don't know, if he's squaring up the ball this well, like, why wouldn't he, be climbing up the leaderboard? He hits it so damn straight, and now he's hitting it pretty far. So it's impressive, man.
I think we're burying the biggest story of the day, which was the putt that Will Zalatoris hit.
Oh my God.
I don't say this lightly, and I'm not saying it with hyperbole. I don't know that I've ever seen a worse putt. And I don't even mean from a pro golfer. Like that was like, dude, that looks like someone who's never played golf before. Like that was,
and he rerouted it.
unbelievable. It looked like he almost like someone said it wasn't the backstroke. He hit it with like a downstroke. He almost just like dropped the putter on top.
That's the
demonic
kind of putt you would never see any of your friends do, because if your friend has that bad of yips, you give him that putt.
Yeah,
right. Like we don't make Randy putt those when he's at his worst.
But
right?
what we do, we video him.
Yeah, we do,
because it's
good.
I mean, what does that putt look like if he's not arm locking?
Right.
Can't be.
Is he whiffing?
He's got to try the Stu Sink thing. Like Sink talks, he like has the stutter before he hits a short putt, just to get the motion going. You got, if you do that, that is not a one-off. Like that was unlike. I don't know if, to your point, I don't know if I've ever seen a pro do that.
Seemingly, he's been in a little bit of a funk here the last, basically since the Masters. Has it been putting? Is it just been putting related? Has he been hitting it really well, or is it?
I'm not sure.
I haven't tracked it that closely, but it doesn't seem like he's hitting it as good as he was when he got real hot. But I don't think it's not like a Aaron Wise putting issue thing going on.
It looked like he was playing stymies and trying to hit like the hook putt off the toe.
Which would be a really cool homage.
A great homage.
Well, I started to get mad when they cut to the putt. I'm like, stop showing putts. We don't need to see this. Oh my God, no.
There is no way I don't think about that putt the next time I'm standing over a 2-footer.
Oh, well, thanks. Now I will be too.
Yeah, no, everybody has to.
Hundreds of thousands of people.
So I guess maybe it'll all just kind of balance out if everybody's thinking about it.
There's a putt.
Nobody's thinking about it.
There's a putt that Randy always references that I hit on Defusky Island one time. I was putting this satellite dish looking thing. This was back in probably 2006, 2007. And we're out on Defusky Island off the coast of Hilton Head. And I had like a 2.5 foot putt and I missed it by like 2.5 feet. Like it didn't even come within 1.5 foot of the hole. And like Randy just, it was Randy and his brother-in-law Goodbar, and they would just like started laughing, and just like it took them like 2 minutes to hit their shots because they were so shocked by it.
Was that the one that had the sound? Like Randy's like, I can still hear the sound of that.
Yeah. There was a putt that Kyle Stanley hit one time at Harbor Town. And he was like literally the only time I've ever heard that sound other than then was when you hit that putt.
I'm trying to think of, and this probably didn't hit if you didn't watch all the coverage, this might not have hit your highlights package. It's worth seeking out. Just Google or Twitter search or whatever, Will Zalatoris putt.
Or avoiding at all costs.
Or avoid it. Yeah, that's a trigger warning. If you seek that out.
Seek it out because you're going to see it at some point down the line. Watch it on your terms.
Be prepared.
It's like a horrific leg injury.
It's like the Joe Theismann.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I was like. Yeah, that was where I was going next.
I'm trying to think of. We don't have to keep belaboring this. I'm trying to think of what else is even in the conversation. Like
Zalatoris had another. He's had one at. When was that? I've done a full my eyes.
Well, because the thing with Zalatoris is like these are putts that aren't they're so ugly. Whereas the ones that Morikawa does, the ones that he misses, are like they're fully committed putts, right? And it's a normal stroke. He just misses it. Whereas Zalatoris, like it looks horrific.
Yeah,
in the course of the action,
neurological damage going on when he takes it back. It's not good.
He had one PGA. He had a full on yip at the PGA, and then his first putt at the Masters this year, he had like an 8-footer for birdie that he left like.
That's right. That was good.
That
was good stuff. All I remember that I could even put in the same conversation, someone just mentioned it in the comments too, was the Ernie Els on number 1 at Augusta a couple years ago.
But that was just misses.
Yeah.
Like a ton of misses. It wasn't like he couldn't move the putter, right? That was tough to watch, but the Zalatoris thing was okay.
And he still shot under par.
I know.
Yeah. I don't know. I might have legit walked off.
Kind of evened out. He hold one out, hold a wedge out. And
like, why do you even want to be in contention at that point after you just did that? Imagine having that putt to win. Oh my God, get out of here.
Can we please do Bryson now?
Yes.
Before we do that, for me personally, it seems like Bryson I would say he needs to practice more, right? Like a little bit more, some more needs to go into it.
I don't know if I see where you're going with that, but I do not think that.
Well, we're not going to blame the equipment, right?
Let's quick.
I think he
cross cut to he's probably on the range right now. I don't think he needs to practice.
Practicing
more.
the wrong stuff.
There you go. More is not the right thing.
Okay.
That's automatically the assumption when people have when they think they need to just go pound balls, practice more. DJ, what's your quote about working out? You had a great. We're talking about our friends at Golf Blueprint right now. If you don't know, who put together these great customized practice plans for you.
I think the gist of it was, if it was less of a quote, more of an idea, but if you're I'm a bad person at just going to the gym and aimlessly I'll do that machine for
do some lat pull downs.
Yeah, I'll do that for 8 minutes. And now I guess, I don't know, there's nobody on that machine. I guess I'll go do that one. It works a lot better when you have a plan, when you have some sort of structure to what you're doing. It's a little less arbitrary. It turns out that you get a little better results that way.
This is exactly that. It's like a personal trainer for your golf game. It gives you specific games to play on the range, on the putting green, on the chipping green, whatever it is, and just gives you very focused things that you want to improve on. Important note, they do all the work for the members. So all you have to do is show up, put in the work. I know some potential members thinking they had to provide them with a ton of data and information and then track a ton. They just want you to know they take all the work off your shoulders, make practice efficient and focused. At golfblueprint.com, you can get $20 off the first month membership for anyone signing up the next week. That gets refunded to you after sign up. There's no code needed for that. Again, golfblueprint.com. Hand up, I haven't been practicing at all, but I'm excited to get back into it this fall once it cools off here in Jacksonville. But
can I just say this about the membership? It's the Golf Blueprint membership. It's the kind of membership you can show up. You can always get a game.
You can always get some practice. You can always
get a game.
The water pressure in the Golf Blueprint locker room is fantastic.
No, but it's a game. You can always get a game.
It's a true members club.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with you.
So
Bryson DeChambeau hits 4 fairways today.
The driver sucks.
Shoots one over.
Straight up, the driver sucks.
Literally straight up, the quote, "The driver sucks. It's not a good face for me, and we're still trying to figure out how to make it good on the miss hits. I'm living on the razor's edge, like I've told people for a long time." End quote. Is that not the most 2021 bullshit when it comes to equipment ever? The miss hits are going too far offline.
Yeah, there's a lot to unpack. I don't know where we want to start here. I don't know if we want to start with the fact that he also missed a lot of fairways without his with non-driver. That was my big takeaway from watching feature groups this morning, because he was paired with the Golden Child. Saw a lot of Bryson's round. But when he started it, he's like, "Yeah, the driver sucks." I'm like, "Oh, okay, maybe he's talking about." I swear to God, like, I know it is very fun to make fun of Bryson because he gives you a lot of reasons to make fun of him. I don't go out of my way looking to make fun of Bryson, and it's.
I'm not gonna say I don't,
but. When he's
just such a
when he's going into that
hypocrite,
and everybody's tweeting the whole like, "Oh, the driver sucks, the driver sucks." I'm like, "Oh, maybe he just means like me with the driver. Like I'm not, I'm not hitting the driver great right now. Like the driver sucks right now for me." No,
that was not a good face for me.
It's not a good face. And he just went in, and this has been going on since 2016. We can't get it figured out. It's all about you can't draw the ball anymore. Spin rate 2,000, 1,800. Everybody thinks it's this. It's actually this.
It's literally the physics and the way that they build heads now. Nobody hits draws anymore. We're at 2,000, 1,800 spin, whatever. It's not the right design, and we've been trying to fix it.
And like, all right. So then we get to, I don't know if we go next to the follow-up from this, which, people are kind of freaking out about it. Ben Showman, a Cobra Puma rep, who also caddied for Bryson.
Not just any Cobra Puma rep. Yeah.
Caddied for him at the Rocket Mortgage, says, quote, this is from Golf Week, of course.
This was all mutual, by the way.
Yeah, this is they mutually came out with this statement.
Which I'm surprised, it's disrespectful that he didn't go to golf.com with this stuff, because I
imagine he'll be giving some quotes later.
And disrespectful to do it during this week, an event that Mr. Palmer has won. But
right.
Everybody is bending over backwards. We've got multiple guys in R&D who are CADing, computer-aided design, this and CADing that, trying to get this and that into the pipeline faster. Bryson knows it. It's just really, really painful when he says something that stupid. He has never really been happy, ever. Like, it's very rare where he's happy. Now he's in a place where he's swinging a 5-degree driver with 200 miles an hour ball speed. Everyone is looking for a magic bullet. Well, the magic bullet becomes harder and harder to find when the faster you swing it and the lower your loft gets. So when he's talking about a razor's edge, we're not going to be able to help that. He said, at DeChambeau's speed, every shortcoming in his swing or miss hit is exponentially magnified. We're trying to stay ahead of it, so we'll place an order for 10 prototype heads. And then literally, as soon as that order is placed, usually within a week or two, we might be ordering more of something else. The idea is to always have a few driver heads for Bryson that can act as a starting point when he wants to experiment or try something new. Still not done.
No. It gets much more cutting to the core here.
It's like an 8-year-old
There it
that
is.
gets mad at you. They might fly off the handle and say, I hate you. But then you go, whoa, no, you don't. We know as adults that they really don't mean that. And I know that if I got him cornered right now and said, what the hell did you say that for? He would say that he was mad. He didn't really mean to say it that harshly. He knows how much everyone bends over backwards for him, but it's still not cool.
And he's a nice person at heart because he says he's a nice person.
He's
at heart,
humble.
right?
He's actually very humble.
Oh my
And he yells
God.
4.
This is the greatest. This is the greatest thing. First of all,
Hey.
the snap, the Cobra guy going on the record very quickly,
Unbelievably awesome.
Massive,
Yeah.
massive.
which
props to him.
just speaks to what the people around him think of him. Like, would this have happened, to any other player? Like, I honestly I have a feeling we're close to like a total walkout on Team Bryson.
What if the
I
dude
don't
guy
know.
walks
We already
out?
had a guy quit. Like, that's not unreasonable.
Not
But
like
it was
a
it was
guy, like
it was
the guy.
it was
Closest
mutual
to-
though. It was mutual.
Well,
though.
that was mutual. They were just looking
Yeah.
for the right time.
Yeah. What if what
First
if
of all,
golf,
8-year-olds, dude. 8-year-olds.
what if golf.com quits on him?
I just, dude,
They
I
would
don't even
never.
know. I don't even know where you start. Other than I thought the equipment rep had, like, that's truth serum shit right there. Like, that's what we're begging for constantly. I have no idea if he's going to keep his job. I have no idea how that's going to go.
They should give him a raise.
I imagine it's going to be a stressful day over at Team Cobra Puma, but unbelievable. Like, kudos for just laying it all out and being like, dude, you know what? You cannot shit on us.
Yeah.
Like, we are doing everything we possibly can. And by the way, what you're asking for is pretty much like physically impossible.
No. I'm sure Bryson's like one of their easiest guys to work
Totally.
with. I'm sure.
I'm sure.
So reading that too, I was like, wait, why would you want to do like none of this is like marketable retail wise for anyone. Like, this is like working on a Formula One car, and like why would you be breaking your back over a guy that clearly is not he's not helping you sell clubs.
He's certainly not like the irons that he plays are the 1-length irons. I'd love to know how many sets of fucking 1-length irons.
I bet they
that's
sold a
sold.
bunch right away.
And they're probably in the
and I'm
in-
guessing they
played against sports
those
now, right?
probably tapered off. But I also, I think this is probably the best argument against bifurcation also that I've heard is like that's what equipment companies are going to
It's
turn
already-
into, right?
Well, it's already
Is-
bifurcated in
well,
a certain sense too, right?
It is, but like when it gets officially bifurcated and their job is just basically like, hey, make these clubs that we also like put a bunch of money into making these clubs that we also can't sell, is a pretty good, like, yeah, I see why the equipment companies would be against that. That doesn't sound like a good idea.
Which I'm sure he is helping them sell clubs. I mean that literally, but like he's not like a good guy to have your brand associated with. It's not like I don't know. I know we're sponsored by an equipment company, and this, we can rear back and fire in this scenario, but like this is very obvious situation.
But
where-
like Patrick Reed, I mean, he had the same, like he had a similar back and forth with Callaway.
and Callaway dropped him.
They were basically like, "Yo, fuck you, man!" Like, which like it's happened before, and there's certain guys that just aren't good. Like it truly is a team. It's a back and forth. There's a give and take, and it's very you gotta communicate stuff very well, and it's expensive as shit too. Like all these CAD stuff, the milled stuff, all the molds, all that shit is like we're talking like hundreds of thousands of dollars for just even a couple months of this, much less
And I
for
think
years of it.
I think the big one that like really irks me, and maybe it shouldn't, but it sounded like even in the 8-year-old quote, it almost sounded like he was kind of apologizing for him a little bit. And I've heard that so much from Bryson, and it's weird that it seems like the only people you hear this from are the people that are on Bryson's payroll, which is like, what a coincidence. It seems like everybody else is, I tweeted something, but it's like, man, I get so sick of hearing like the media and tournament volunteers and sponsors and his equipment rep and people close to him and his caddies and other players
Cameramen,
and other caddies and
rules
cameramen
officials.
and blah blah blah. Like I'm so sick of all those people trying to convince me this guy's a jerk. But like,
You guys are the problem. It's not him. It's you
at
guys.
some point, it's like, dude, we're not talking about a 14-year-old kid here.
No.
We're talking about a 27-year-old dude who's been like a famous person for a couple years now. It's like it reminds me a lot of, when everybody has like that friend from college or whatever, where it's like, man, Jimmy's like kind of an asshole. No, come on, like that's just Jimmy. It's like, no, yeah, he's an asshole. Like that's not a personality trait. Like you don't get to hang your hat on like, yeah, that's just him. He's just kind of a petulant child. That's just how he is.
Which what would you say like the percentage of the petulant shit that the public like knows about to this point about Bryson?
5%.
I was going to say we went from 10 to 12 today.
It's crazy. I mean, we're like, there's all sorts of stuff that we don't say for whatever reason, just because, this like source wise, you don't want to air out the source or don't have a second source. But it's just like when everybody's telling you these stories, even if 10% of them are true, it's like, holy shit, this guy's a fucking lunatic.
Yeah.
Which, like, caddies don't quit on top 5 money making bags unless a player is a very clearly lunatic.
And I guess I'll also say, like, I don't want to be too high and mighty. Like, I am not a super famous person who's in the spotlight all the time, who's constantly has a microphone in front of their face. And like, who knows what it's like to be Bryson?
Yeah.
But like, I'm not totally excusing it. I'm just saying, like, if you are going to act like that, man, like, this is the shit that's going to happen. And like, when your equipment company who's paying you presumably millions of dollars is turning on you and farting in your face in the media, like, yeah, you've probably done some bad shit. And that is maybe a good time to look in the mirror.
Like, all this shit that, like, the stuff that he was saying earlier this week where, I'm famous and I didn't bring this on. Like, yo, you're making a highlight tape of what you did during COVID, or you're on these Twitch streams talking shit about Brooks. Like, all this shit is brought on yourself. It's self-inflicted, right?
Well, and it's not that hard for normal people to be like if I'm one, he's got to have somebody in his ear that he's willing to listen to. I'd like walk off the course and say this to you, Bryson. I kind of implemented this style of play. Some weeks I knew it wasn't going to work that great. Today it didn't work great. I believe it can work great tomorrow, but yeah, I kind of got it handed to me a little bit today. Got humbled a little bit by this golf course. Tried to overpower it in places and it didn't really work. I'm going to go work on the range a little bit and hopefully get things straightened out for tomorrow. How freaking hard is that? Like, don't get me wrong. I love that he opens up his assholeness and gives us the content of what he's truly thinking. But like, this isn't that hard. Like, when Tim clearly quit on him, go to the mic and say it, like, instead of trying to lie to us and say it was mutually agreed and this was always the plan, like, fucking bullshit. Just go up and say, like, I'm a really tough guy to work for. And like, I probably put him through a lot. And, looking back on it, I probably could have handled things a lot differently. I wish him nothing but luck. And I, of course, want to go hog hunting with him. Hog hunting with him.
I think
PXG.
It seems like he's just a sociopath.
Yeah.
Straight up.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I don't know. Like, but it's like when all corners of the golf industry, except for seemingly Brandel, who called him,
who referred to, he said, Steve Jobs was also difficult to work with, which was very similar to like the Michael Scott, like, who also didn't go to college, LeBron James.
Yeah. It's like Van Gogh cut off his ear.
Yeah, don't forget about that.
Does Steve Jobs have a college degree?
No, he does not.
Okay.
Maybe that's a good question. Maybe
Brandon's onto something here.
Comparisons run deeper. Who knows? Also from California. Wow.
Oh, it makes you think.
God.
I mean, it all comes back to the word chode. It all
he's the dynamic chode.
Yeah.
So, but I will say the people that because this happens every time that he doesn't play well. The people, some people come out of the woodwork and say, all right, you guys finally get to admit that like what he did doesn't work. And it's like, no, it does work. It's just not going to work every week all the time.
Right.
Like, shit still has to go right. It's still timing based.
I would say it somewhat worked today. Like,
the fact that he shot one over,
he shot 78 today.
Yes, exactly.
Wrote down 71. Like, it looked horrible. Yet the way he manages the ball, there were definitely some spots where a little bit of sense would have made a lot of sense of just, dude, hit it right here. You're still a really good iron player and a really good putter. You don't have to take on everything with driver.
It's like your 2-iron goes as far as other guys' drivers. Like, that's an advantage in and of itself, right?
And I think that was the issue. Like, he said all the, like, his press conference, I thought was like pretty interesting going into the week. And he was asked about like Tiger at Hoylake and, hey, was that, is that a model that's in play for you this week? And he said 100%, absolutely. Like, I can't hit that many drivers here. I gotta lay back. And watching him
not have any self-control.
He didn't hit driver until at least number 7, I don't think, today. And
his swing was just off all the way through.
He was just missing fairways. Like, I think he'd only hit one fairway up until like number 10 or something like that.
Yeah.
And like, it just was off.
He hit driver off too, because John Wood called it right into question. And he was just like, I don't know why he's hitting driver. There's nowhere to
maybe I missed that.
Zero self-control then, right?
I don't know. Or I was going to say maybe he's missing with other clubs. So then he kind of forces his hand a little bit and then he hits driver and then he's complaining about driver. Like, I don't know what it was, but
can we agree though that the data really works for this style of play back in the States, right? PGA Tour golf course.
And I would even say like it works a lot more than it doesn't. Right?
Yes. Like bomb it far. You're better with wedge out of the rough. Then don't worry about the fairways that much. But I don't think you can properly account for all of that when we have such a small sample size with links golf, right? And the rough being so variant from golf course to golf course, the pins and the wind, how, where you need to position yourself to get at some of these pins and all this stuff. It's just not that simple, right? The randomness of the lies in the rough, the real punishment that can come in with drives in the rough here. Like it's just not bomb and gouge. I'm sure there's a bunch of people out there that will shove data and say he's doing the right thing, hitting driver as far down as possible, but it's just not as calculable on links golf. I, of course, don't have anything to support that, but that is everything my eye tells me about it. And again, that's someone that subscribes to his theory, for 99% of the golf he plays.
It just seems like there's more variance that can happen, right? There's more, I'm curious, like why is he trying to hit 207 swing ball speed on the range yesterday? Like, is that necessary during a major week? Like that's adding another, let's say you start swinging faster and faster and faster during a major week. Is that adding another variable?
I don't mean to be laughing, but a lot of people in the comments, a weird bit has broken out where people are imitating Gunter from Team Haas. Gene, the driver sucks. There's nothing I can do. So props to everybody who's doing that. That's making me laugh really hard.
But I was going to say,
to your point, like, yeah, maybe that's not the answer.
There's venue to it. Yeah.
There are golfers or all golf courses on this Rota where this style of play would make a lot more sense.
Yeah,
I just don't think St. George is it. I mean,
especially not St. George's this year where like the rough is notoriously thick, and not like I have a lot of prior experience, but that was what they said all day, and that's why they had to slow down the fairways and slow down the greens a little bit, and it was all because that rough doesn't usually look like that. And Spieth talked about it. A bunch of guys talked about it. Like, dude, you gotta hit the fairway. And
there's runouts too. Yeah. There's not like straight, like that fifth hole is super interesting to watch.
Yeah.
Like how difficult that played today. Suez Canal hole, if you're downwind, I think you can get it in the canal, or Bryson could have. So,
which he hit 4-iron there. I think like 4-iron 3-wood or something.
Like going back, I think, Torrey doesn't have a whole lot of dog legs. Winged Foot didn't have a whole lot of dog legs. There's certain courses that fit him better, even just, rough versus no rough.
As Amal said in the comments, see how it works at St. Andrews next year.
Yeah.
I think St. Andrews
that might be
great.
Yeah, I think it'll be a different tune.
By the way, people are asking if I got a haircut. I did not get a haircut. It's flowing. I look like Cam Smith, baby.
All right, back to the leaderboard.
Right, can we get to the guys at 3 under? Because I think the guys there's a bunch of dogs at 3 under. Andy Sullivan, Justin Harding, Danny Willett, Jack Sr., Justin Rose, all at 3 under. They're not dogs. But you got
where's he going with
Scheffler, Morikawa, Fleetwood. Those 3 guys, I guess Morikawa's off 8:25 tomorrow. Fleetwood's off 10:09. I think those 2 guys are going to come out digging.
So let just trivia for you guys. Spieth is plus 350. Louis Oosthuizen plus 450. Who's third on the sheet? Who's the third? The best odds. Worst odds? Morikawa plus 1600.
Really?
And Hovland's probably right behind him, right?
Hovland's way back there.
What's Stuart Sink right now?
Stu Sink is plus 2800.
I will maybe jump on that. That's I don't know, man. He's looked really good for 8 months.
Koepka plus 1800. Rory plus 2000. Huh?
Yeah.
What's DJ at?
Webb plus 2000, DJ plus 2000, Fleetwood plus 2000, Harmon plus 2000, and Hovland's 2500, Scheffler 2500, Xander 28, Rose 30, Rahm 35.
DJ, I think you had something about you were slagging off the English blokes.
That was a private take. I just, it hit me this morning. They're talking about the last Englishman to win, being Nick Faldo. It's like, man, why don't more English players win the Open? I know that feels like I feel like that was a big take, like in the early 90s, kind of like before Faldo won. But it's wild, man. It doesn't make any sense.
And it's not like why don't
you guys grow up playing this? You got some of the best players in the world, like. Just seem to dominate at the Ryder Cup. You're good in big moments. Where the fuck aren't you winning the Open?
It's not like why don't more English guys win Wimbledon? Because there's just not that many English tennis players.
There's a lot of really good English players.
Yeah. So listen, I mean,
thank you for
maybe
airing that out. I'm sure nobody will have any reaction to that.
Maybe Team Rose needs to look inward.
That's true.
not to get back to Bryson, but I forgot to shout out the deep fried egg video from today, which is
sucks.
The Puma commercial with Ricky and a bunch of influencers and so just saying like, yeah, beat that, and then dubbed over as it cut to Bryson. The driver sucks.
That's really good.
Oh God, that was good content.
Let's talk about the golf course.
No, let's do that.
What did you guys think?
I'll let you guys start.
I thought it was delightful. We talked about our qualms with the setup a little bit with, some of the rough in spots, but
I don't know if we super unpacked it though. I mean, like just, if people didn't see that much or whatever, I mean, it was noticeably slow, right? And not just the greens. I mean, it was
guys, I'm going to sit this one out. I don't need to talk about golf course setup during the week of a major. I'll talk about it on the recap pod, but I'm not going to belabor the point.
I have a fairly optimistic. That's
20 minutes later.
Yeah. Another more thing. Yeah, another thing. Fuck that guy. He should be fired. I think I was pessimistic going into it. I was like, this is going to be a bummer to watch, balls kind of slowing up in the rough and balls or in the fairway and balls, not really bouncing on the greens. I actually had a really good time watching it. I think it makes sense, a little more sense than I would have liked to admit yesterday as to why they slowed it down. I don't know if you got that sense at all. Just, I know that's kind of the one thing that if you talk to any supers or grounds crew people, like that is the really hard thing to do is to maintain that like wispy, linksy rough and make it thin enough that guys can hit out of there, thin enough that it's hard to judge, thin enough that it's like, it's just not a massive penalty. And so I don't know how you could, I think they just really, really struggled with that with how much rain they got.
I don't know. I don't have it confirmed that they have watered the fairways, right?
I think Slumbers did.
Westwood's quote was that he said they'll probably going to throw some water on the fairways to stop that happening, to stop balls rolling off into the rough. So I don't know if they haven't, because I know they've been dealt some tough cards when it comes to the weather, the rain, and just the general softness of the course. I don't think balls backspinning is the fault of the RNA to this point.
No,
like they have shown that
the hand they've been dealt.
They are fine letting courses bake out, and this golf course is different though. Like you can't Carnoustie it because balls literally just like won't stop in the fairway, right. And then with the rough as thick as it is, Westwood's quote is just like lays out everything totally perfect about the issues.
So looking ahead at the forecast, it looks like the forecast a little bit warmer tomorrow, 20 degrees Celsius tomorrow. Same wind.
Can you convert that to Fahrenheit?
That's what, like 72-ish.
About 70 times 2 plus 30 is my go-to rule.
And then Saturday ramps up so same wind tomorrow. 13 miles an hour out of the south. It looks like pretty much steady the whole day. Maybe starts a little bit earlier in the day. And then Saturday up to 22 degrees Celsius, and then Sunday up to 25 degrees Celsius. So up into the up near 80.
That was gonna be my other thing, is I think even if they had put some water on it, or even if they do early in the week, or kind of try to make rounds 1 and 2 play as similar as possible, which I know they try to do as much as possible. I still think it'll firm up over the weekend. And also, I hadn't really thought about this until Spieth's press conference today, but he was talking about how it's a little bit more of an aerial links than people probably realize, and how there's a lot of bunkers kind of guarding the front of the greens. There's a lot of false fronts, and it's just not really the kind of place where you are like, bouncing it 5 clubs worth into these greens. It's just not that kind of place. So
it's like Lytham a little bit in that.
That's
regard.
exactly what he said. Yeah. And it was that,
probably even Hoylake a little bit on certain holes. Some of those downhill holes.
That just kind of changed my thinking on it a little bit, where it's like, yeah, that actually kind of does make sense if it's a little softer. And it was really fun to watch today. So I loved it.
It's okay. It's fine. They didn't again, this is not a setup comment. This is a weather dealt. And I'd like to see, honestly, I'd like a few more par 5s. Like I think seeing like 260 shots with helping wind, trying to avoid pot bunkers, getting the club right, getting it landed right. Like watching shots into 14 today, I thought was really fun.
Yeah.
There's just not enough of that. It's a lot of wedges. It's a lot of aerial shots, to your point. And I like watching the ball roll in links golf, and I like watching to see, can you thread it between these 2 bunkers and get it to take that and funnel. There's just not a lot of that on this golf course. Yep. The floor is so high for the open roto. There's not a bad course on it. I'm right where I came into the week, right? Yeah. It didn't impress me a whole lot today, and it wasn't bad viewing by any stretch.
Based on what they said about Winged Foot with, losing the course and losing the greens, the conditions. I mean, 75, 80 degrees with a little bit of wind. I mean, this place might be rolling 14 or 15 by the end of the week if they don't throw some water on these greens, right?
But you're not going to say anything about the setup.
No, I'm not. I'm not until the Winged Foot super steps down, until he resigns as he promised he would.
Many people ask you if you apologize for Leash.
I'll apologize tomorrow after he misses the cut, if and when he misses the cut. I do want to apologize that I left out Marcel Seam in the group at 3 under. And
Ben On.
Ben On's fine, but Marcel Seam, his aesthetic was dialed today.
He's great.
2 names we haven't mentioned. Can you guess them?
Hovland,
Dustin.
Nope.
Sergio.
Well, also accurate, but Koepka.
Yeah.
1 under. I know we haven't gotten that far down the leaderboard.
We'll get there. Got another English bloke at 2 under, Paul Casey.
Rory.
I don't want to talk Rory. It's not. There's nothing to talk about.
That's kind of where I want to preface this with. Truly, like, we all love Rory. We all love watching Rory. We all want Rory to win.
Maybe too much.
We all want Rory to win this week. I hope he goes and shoots 62 tomorrow. But until that happens, man, like, I don't know what else. I don't know what there is to say. Like, he just is not.
It's the same shit every major.
Yeah, it's not there. I don't know why he's coming up 20 yards short, like, repeatedly over and over on all these shots. I don't know what. I don't know what's going on, man. But it's, yeah, to your point, Tron, it's not very fun to watch, man. It's just very frustrating.
Yeah, he's like a teenager that just won't listen right now, and like, we're gonna give him tough love.
Yeah, I think you guys pretty much summed it up. I think it looked a lot worse than even par today. I think it was but I don't know. Tron and I were joking about it when we watched it. It's like he makes that putt on 18 for birdie. And it's like, oh, it feels like this momentum. It's like, oh, he's only 6 back after round 1. Like, what are we fucking doing,
6
man?
back after round 1. He's like one of the most talented golfers of all time,
exactly.
and we're patting him on the head for being fucking 6 back after round 1.
I'm not falling for anything. I'm not.
I just feel like that kind of sums it all up.
That's where it's like it's not that I don't want him to show him because I dislike Rory. It's because like, I know I've seen this movie before and I don't want to get my hopes up, and I don't want, like, it's just wasted energy.
Yeah.
Right.
He just does not seem to have that sustained hot streak in him anymore. Like, there is no Rory coming. Like, I hit send on the GIF like 2 birdies too early because I just want to be able to use it.
Or even like not even sustained hot streak, but just being able to like tread water in the right spots to keep, just to not lose the momentum, but just to keep it going or keep your head above water for a little bit until the hot streak comes back.
Somebody had a comment here referencing something Andy Johnson said on the Fried Egg Pod. They said Andy brought up a good point. Maybe he peaked at 24. And I bring that up because I don't know if we've ever actually like talked about that idea, at least not publicly. Is like, I will never forget Padraig Harrington. Like, it is so obvious when you hear it, but it sounds so harsh because nobody talks like this, especially in press conferences or publicly. And someone was asking him kind of like, hey, why'd you win all those majors in a row? But then now, like, you haven't really done anything. And he was kind of like, yeah, I mean, that was probably just like the best stretch of golf in my whole life. And like, I'm probably not going to do better than that. So, I'll try, like, I'm still working, but that's probably my peak. And I don't know. Rory, like, the whole brain would say like, no, he's still young and he's fit and he's great and he still hits the ball great. But yeah, maybe that's it, man. Maybe he just.
I think everybody else caught up too, right?
Maybe that was the stretch. I don't know.
We talked about that when he said the quote was like, yeah, maybe I was just better at golf back then. That was alarming, I thought, and maybe like we've talked about that. Rory might be too aware, right? I mean, probably back then he was young and dumb and running around, doing a lot of different things and winning a lot of golf tournaments at the same time. And you don't think about your mortality at that point. When you start building up scar tissue, when you win 4 in 4 years, and then you go 2 years without winning one, now you're thinking about it when you tee it up in the 9th major since you've won one. Now you're thinking about in the 10th. Well, shit, now it's been 16.
Yeah.
All right. Soon enough, like, it's 7 years later and it hasn't been the same guy. It's not like he's been close. It's not Louis Oosthuizen. It's not Lee Westwood in his prime. It's not any of that, man. It's not. He's objectively worse in majors, which, fuck, like, that sucks.
Not good. Guys, there's 6 South Africans in the top 30. That's a lot of South Africans. Couple, Daniel Van Tonder and Jaco Ehlers. I know you probably think they're manipulators.
The manipulation thing is like people are like 8 steps ahead of me on that. Like you are going to say in 8 weeks that this guy is manipulating.
It's pre-crime.
Like it's just people are very well aware of this stuff now. I like that it's out in the world.
There's some dudes. I think going back to what I said about there. I said going back. Talking about the guys at -3. There's some guys at -2. We talked about Hovland, Bezadenhout, Chris Kirk. This is a great golf course for him.
Yeah.
Paul Casey. I think we know how that's going to turn out for him. Probably a non-competitive, like top 10, top
T9,
15.
for
Yeah.
sure.
DJ Sergio's at -2. Snedeker -2.
Molinari.
Francesco Molinari. Corey Connors. Very interesting that he decided to skip the Dow team event this week.
You gotta if you're gonna make the joke, you gotta flesh that out.
I just said I think he would have the best swing on the LPGA if he teed it up. It's the ultimate. I can't give a better compliment to that.
Can't putt. Yes.
It's possible he couldn't find a partner for Dow.
Shout out to Keith Mitchell shooting 2 under par.
Now, God, the English are gonna be pissed at me, and the Canadians are gonna be pissed at me. Anyone else you want to rile up, TC?
Yeah, we'll get there. Shout out to the Bullet -1.
Fucking Bullet's
69 on his birthday.
On his birthday.
Absolutely loving life.
Koepka bogeyed 18 for I thought what was a very good round of golf. Didn't feel like he got a lot out of that. 1 under felt like he played a lot better, but he was in the better side of the wave.
Yeah.
And apparently going to get the better side of the draw tomorrow too. So early late seems to be the better side of the draw. So maybe Justine has a little bit of a point.
Totally. I mean, P
Tough shirt.
Tough finish for P. Tough finish for Finau. Finau doubled 18. Hated seeing that.
Super unlucky to miss that last putt.
You can't do this anymore. Like he's not playing good golf anymore. The whole point was you guys think an MC and a T2 are the same thing.
I've been riding for him lately,
and I'm not. He's not playing good golf anymore.
Maybe I'll flip it. I'll start.
So fun when you flip.
Yeah, I might start riding for him now. I think he's gonna have a big day tomorrow.
I've lost faith in Tone right now. Like, as of right now, he's not on my Ryder Cup team.
Guys, Ricky and Xander got a lot of Ricky Xander and Cam Smith got a lot of airtime for shooting 1 under today.
Might have been Cam Smith's pairing probably on that one.
Yeah, I think the waves were kind of lopsided, felt like. And that's because Rory still draws, Rory draws a lot of energy, but it's
for some reason I still want to see what's going to happen.
I know, I do too, but it's getting less and less.
And it sucks that he came out of the gate stuffing one with a wedge on 1, stuffed another one with a wedge on 2. Of course, that's when I had to send the tweet. Misses the putt, and then does nothing from there on out. Shoots 2 over from there on out. But
I think Ricky probably could have putted a little bit better. He missed a couple, kind of crappy putts there. I think we're burying the big story here. Richard Bland,
best player in the world,
70.
Yeah,
just a rock solid start for Mr.
That might have
Bland.
been. He might have been, napping by about 11 a.m. there. I think he was like first guy out, wasn't he?
For those calling for Randy to apologize for Phil, he will be on the show tomorrow and has prepared a full statement.
I think Randy picked him to win. What
He
the
did.
hell is he doing?
He's going to go 1 for 2 with picking Phil to top 40 at the PGA and picking him to win the Open.
I think that comment was beautiful. I think that thing's going to come back around again tonight too.
It's even more damning because other than Dayan Lawson, the big Aussie lad, who looks like Leash
in the bullet
and
Big Shot Bob
McIntyre all had a kid together. But they're at plus 10.
He's a composite of all those guys.
Nobody else is even close. The next worst guys are two English blokes at plus 7. So
have we mentioned JT yet?
I'm getting ready. I think we're getting there with JT where he may be on. He may be on life support.
He's feeling it's feeling very Rory-ish, and it's
the putting looks awful.
It's so crazy to me, and I don't know what to read into this, if anything, but it's crazy how fucking dominant JT can look at a WGC or the Players or kind of random PGA Tour event, and it just has not been there at the majors. I know we've talked about this ad nauseum.
He might be the TPC golfer.
But it sucks. Like, again, we don't have the data for this, but if he has field average putting round, the field average 30 putts per he had 35 today. Field average putting round, he shoots 67 today. Like he was leading the field and he hit like the first 9 greens or something like that.
Was his proximity any good?
It seemed to be like I felt like he was like super dialed for the beginning of that round, just getting absolutely nothing out of it. And it seemed like he wavered. And again, it's like that front nine, you can get hyped on that front nine, right? It's kind of an easier nine. I don't know what exactly how the numbers shake out, but there's some scoreable. There's a good run of holes there where you can make some noise, and you can kind of fake your way around the front. Is what I'm getting at.
Yeah,
and back nine doesn't seem to be something where you can really fake around.
I wish you could see. Maybe somebody has done this, but it would be hard, I would guess, without the shot link data. But I would be really interested to know who are the really good links putters.
The links masters,
the true links masters, because you know what I mean. Like it's
a different
such a different thing. It's different grass, obviously, but it's also like the greens are crazier and they're slower, which is a really weird combo. Like these guys just putt on
glass.
They putt on glass every week, and this is
except for on the Euro Tour.
Not that. Yeah, it's true.
I'm an idiot. The scores are lower on the back nine than they were in the front, but I think it's
nevertheless
the 14th hole played almost
still stands.
a half shot under par.
It's the eye test.
We saw way too much of Jimmy Walker today.
Well, I think there was nobody else on the course.
That was the peacock.
Yeah.
No, I don't think anybody was actually watching that. You want to talk some coverage? Are we ready to do that?
Let's keep going.
Rahm.
Disappointments. You got Lowry, Rahm, Westwood, Fitzpatrick at +1. They were dogging Stenson +1. Like they were just killing him on the
absolute
broadcast.
Body shots.
It's like and that was right when they went to the cock, right?
That wasn't the cock.
And he's like kind of old.
Which I don't want to, no mixed messages here. Like continue to dog players. That's totally fine. But Stenson specifically, it's like, well, I mean, he's hurt and he's kind of old, man. Like, he's just not gonna be the same guy.
I think they were like looking up and like, whoa, shit, we have 9 guys left on the course. We got to
exactly.
stretch this out a little bit.
Ches +2. I want to see a little bit more out of him tomorrow.
Yeah, shocking that he.
Brandon Grace was. I thought he was a sleeper play for me. He was 4 over through.
In your defense, you listed 35 guys.
He was 4 over through 11, and then got it back to 2 over.
Anybody mentioned Cantlay yet? We haven't scrolled that far down yet.
No, we haven't scrolled that far down yet. The Schlong, he's currently low Schlong in the field. Joe Long is also in the field. I think he's 1 or 2 shots behind him. Tyrrell Hatton +2. Tyrrell.
Not good.
Not good. Very disappointing. P +2. Bob McIntyre +2.
And Cantlay +4.
You know what's disappointing so far about St. George's? Not a lot of triples. Not a lot of big numbers.
Exactly. You took the words right out of my mouth. That's the shocking thing about Mickelson's round.
But I think that's just a kind of a byproduct of the slowness, right?
Slow bleed.
Yeah.
Like Bryson hit a couple shots, like a couple of the really hot ones out of that, like waist high stuff that just hits a downslope and fucking takes off. And that's where you get the really gnarly, like when you get those bounces and it goes into some death pot bunker, like that's where you get the huge numbers.
The hot bounces out of the high muff.
Exactly right.
Adam Scott +3. And then I mean Cantlay.
Rahm, did we talk any Rahm?
Not really. I mean,
all I saw from Rahm basically was him leaving that one shot in the pot bunker.
That's all I remember.
That was kind of the only thing I really saw. But it's a bummer. I feel like this place probably, after watching it for a day, maybe neutralizes like one of his biggest assets. I know he does everything well, but like he's one of those guys, kind of like Brooks, kind of like Rory. They drive it really long and really straight, but you can't quite drive it long enough and straight enough to fit inside of some of these holes. Like number 5 is a good example where you have to lay back and you're just not going to hit enough fairways to really like wail away on driver. So it feels like it kind of brings him back.
Guys, I'm worried about Leash. He had 2 putts per green in regulation.
That's a lot.
Yeah, that's a lot of putts.
That's not good.
No, that's a lot.
I mean, maybe he hit his irons like ass and he was super far away.
Big greens though too.
Yeah. So I don't know. Not good though. Not good.
That's
I just can't get down with Cantlay, man. Like, it just doesn't evoke anything in me. And he was great on the podcast. He's got I like his swing. It's just a matter of like, it just doesn't conjure anything.
I think he's one of those guys like we've said this a couple of different times, I think, but a lot of those guys, like you just need to see them stack up wins. And when you're someone, and Cantlay doesn't play that much, so you can't really blame him for not winning. Like he wins a lot. Isn't he literally leading the FedEx Cup also? That's a thing. I was gonna text you guys like as a joke, like I'm rolling to your house with a gun in your face, and you need to tell me who's leading the FedEx Cup.
That's aggressive. DJ.
I would have gotten shot. I would not have known, and it's not.
I'm gone.
That's a whole other conversation. But point being, I think with a lot of those guys, like you just need to see them win over and over and over, and to get those feelings. And I think when he just kind of wins once a year, he hasn't really been there in majors. Like you just don't really feel much for those guys.
Yeah.
Like Rahm, I mean, Rahm's a good example, right? I know Randy said that and we were joking about it, but with Rahm, you don't have this like great base of memories. It's like, oh yeah, he won at Torrey Pines and the BMW putt, like that was cool. Now that he fucking slammed the door at a US Open, when you see him on the board at the Masters or you see him on the board at
changes
an Open or
the
something,
lens
totally,
on everything, right?
100%. Yeah. And I think Cantlay doesn't have that. Morikawa has it a little bit, but like Hovland doesn't really have that. I mean, he's pre-approved, I think, right? Like everybody wants to root for Hovland really well, but we just haven't seen it.
He's got global entry.
He does, exactly. Known traveler ID
coverage.
Yeah, I mean, listen.
What time did you guys wake up?
Like
3:45,
7:30.
That was 4:45. I hit the snooze several times.
Caught up for.
I didn't
while,
miss anything.
I was jacked up this morning. I knew I had a DVR. I could catch up on what was going on. I still got up before 4. Saw that the Peacock was behind the.
Was peacocking?
It was a true cock block situation. It was behind the paywall when I woke up this morning, so I got to watch young Tom Morris die at the end of Tommy's Honor. Put you in the mood.
Never watched that.
Spoiler alert. I saw the last 10 minutes. He dies. I don't know. I don't
Tough.
know. Yeah, I kind of knew that going in, but I didn't know much about it other than that. But I don't know. It's fine. It took him a while, I think, to get in the flow, and everybody's remote, and there's obviously a lot of negatives that come with that, and a lot of reasons why they're doing that, and whatever. But I think it understandably took him a while to get in the flow, and it was pretty juiceless this morning, and it just kind of felt like you're watching a bit of a random Euro Tour event. The commentators were not super recognizable. There was nothing really flashy about it. Didn't really feel like you were watching a major until like Spieth started going on a run, honestly. So I switched over to the feature groups. It was great. Had some cheeky broadcasters on there. That was a ton of fun to watch, and it's just fun to watch less commercials and watch every shot of those guys. But
I will say I was wrong. It didn't seem like they hit us, the early risers, crazy hard with the commercials.
Yeah.
Like in the past, they've just said, "Oh, you got up early." Like,
how was Sky?
It was solid.
Allegedly,
it wasn't.
You would never VPN in.
No,
did you have Sky on
your
your big TV or on
the computer?
Allegedly,
I had the earphones on.
You're really big TV. I mean, what's bigger, the computer screen or the TV?
He had it on his phone next to the TV.
They took a lot. Sky took more breaks than kind of. I was led to believe they would, but it was fine. I thought it flowed pretty good. Just lack of pro tracer, big issue. You need some pro tracer.
The lack of wind graphic.
Oh God, the whole thing is the wind. Like, come on. I don't even think that's an NBC thing, right? They're not doing any of this. You're waiting on that from the world feed, or I don't even know who that is.
Listen, we got to feed the world, folks.
Yeah, I guess, but got to get some pro tracer out there.
We're hungry.
Yeah, that's so important for and the wind is literally every shot is defined by, how you are flighting a shot with the wind. And you need that for a viewer, like a ball starting way left going off the screen. I honestly couldn't, and you can kind of see where the clothes are, either their clothes are flapping or whatnot, but give us a wind graphic.
It could be naive. Happy to be naive. We can go harder next year when we're at St. Andrews, but who knows how much of it's COVID, how much of it's budget restrictions. I just
give me general
Brian Roberts.
I don't need 14 mile an hour versus 8 mile an hour. Just give me the general wind direction.
Totally.
Even if it's the prevailing projected wind for the day, it gives you a good idea of what's going to happen there. So
a couple of random things I had before we wrap. Awesome to have Karen Stupples on the broadcast.
Yeah,
growing up nearby. That was cool to have her. And the only other thing, I know we get it at the Masters and we get it at the Open, but very underrated to have everybody start on number one.
100%.
Yeah. It's you can get such a better flow for where the hard parts are, what the sounds lame, but what the journey of the round is. You get such a better feel.
I have trouble with US Open and PGAs that Thursday, Friday, keeping track of what's going on and all that. And no matter what, you got to start one of the days on 10. Golf, this is maybe a stuffy take. Golf was meant golf courses were laid out to be played from hole 1 to 18.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it's kind of bullshit to play a major championship where you tee off on both sides. I think.
I agree.
Fashion wise, anything stick out besides P's shirt, which I think Lou Brown said it looked like he removed the security tag after.
There's a lot of this.
He doesn't even have a clothing sponsor.
Yeah, he does. He does. That Castor
No, they're
Castore.
gone.
I think they left.
Did they? He's
There's
still
no
he's still
logos
on
on
their
there.
site. I guess.
There's no logos on there.
Huh.
A lot of people
I thought the FootJoy shoes are dope. The plaid ones,
can't say I
the
noticed.
tartan plaid on them. They're fantastic. I thought Max looked great today.
Of course.
Super sharp, really clean white pullover.
I thought was Adam Scott in JT's group? No, he wasn't. Adam Scott obviously had a very crispy sweater on. JT had a crispy sweater on. Fleetwood did not have the horribly large sweater on, so that was
Not even a sweater, just a sweatshirt.
Yeah.
Right?
Oh, Sky has a great open mic thing that they do where they like go and get it's not live. It's a layout of the player caddy conversation, and people are all over them because they would do the convo and then not show the shot.
That's tough.
But Finno was on there and like they did not subtitle it, so it was pretty worthless.
People are on me saying Castore dropped him. Listen, I'm the one that potentially broke that story that Castore dropped him. Used Golf Facts reached out and said Castore didn't drop him. So, which she's been on a roll the last 24 hours or so.
I was telling Tron, and we need to be. I don't, knock on wood here. I don't want to jinx anything, but Tron has a heavy responsibility that he bears, being one of the few people that, for whatever reason,
I'm in her head.
Use Golf Facts will reply to every time. I was saying, I think we need to publish a book, almost like presidential letters, like the your guys'
exchanges.
Yeah, your guys' just discourse throughout the years. I think that would your correspondence.
Did she reply to your asking her to lay out?
No, I need to get a couple. First of all, I don't think it's just one person. I think it's the family, the firm there. But I think it's we got to get a few Chardonnays in tonight, and we'll get a couple white wines deep and get it going again. I do want to. My big thing. Hey, you know what? I want to give a shout out. Never give a shout out to them before on anything because their aesthetic is terrible. I thought the TaylorMade bags look really cool. The brown,
yeah, they were cool.
Yeah. So I'm extending an olive branch there. Because I got roasted one time when they did the yellow ones that looked like the DHL trucks,
right. But they were for charity.
They were for the kids.
Yeah.
So that was tough.
So you owed them one.
Exactly. TC never forgets. I'm paying my debts. I want to give a shout out Rose Zhang in the U.S. Girls Am or U.S. Junior Am. She is absolutely just bucking people up. I mean, she's ruining people.
Yeah.
She shot 62 in one of the stroke play rounds. She won 4-2 today over Amari Avery. She's also a really good player in her own right. 4-2 over her, and she's just steamrolling people. I'll be shocked if she doesn't win it. And then Barbasol, of course, Brian Stewart's winning.
I honestly kind of wanted to that hit me while I was lying on the couch this week. I was like, I wonder if I can go the whole week without knowing what goes on with the Barbasol. So
Barbasol's sweet.
No, it's not.
I got all the people from Lexington,
isn't
from Northern Kentucky getting all over me because I said Lexington's in Northern Kentucky, which objectively it is.
Definitely not doing this. Like you don't care.
Corn Ferry Tours in the land of Lincoln.
Right, Springfield.
Randy had no idea yesterday
on the horseshoes
on the trap draw that Springfield's the capital. He thought Chicago was the capital of Illinois, which is disgraceful.
No, it's not.
And then the LPGA is up in Midland.
That's
Michigan.
the definite. Yeah, I forget who was just talking about this. Might have been Jay Revel in Tallahassee, but that's the definition of like a capital city. Like, you put the capital there and then it's a bunch of like government nerds and there's nothing else cool in the city. No offense to Springfield, but that's, you see that in Tallahassee, you see that in Springfield, you see that in a lot of capital cities. That's the playbook, man. Of course it's not Chicago. Anyways.
Listen, it's the land of Lincoln.
Now I got the Springfield people coming at me too. That was a own goal.
The Jutanagarn sisters are going very, very low today. They are they're 9 under through 16. In the Cordas completely shitting the bed.
Hate that.
They're going much lower in alt shot than they are in best ball.
Maybe the format's too easy for them.
So anyway, yeah.
That's all I got.
Yeah,
I'm ready for
the notebook is empty.
Get back to bed.
All right. So I guess last question. Do you guys
how far back is too far back?
Yeah, well, how far back is too far back? I think it's probably too early to talk about that. My thing is
we always do that.
Do you think
we got to do that.
Do you think Oosthuizen or Spieth is the leader after tomorrow, or do you think it's somebody else?
I think it'll probably be somebody else. Just math says that.
Yeah.
Spieth will still win.
I mean, there's not a, there are some very nice players up there. There's not a ton of like hunters.
Mackenzie Hughes.
Right.
Damn it.
There's not a ton, not a ton of hunters up there that are going to go crazy low. You wouldn't think, but I'll say Louis leading after tomorrow.
All right.
I like that. I'll say Louis as well.
I think he
Just
go shoot
steady.
3 under again, and
then
I
how
think
far back is too far back?
I think +2 is too far back.
I was gonna say I think plus one's still probably in it just because
I'm not
you got
willing to call
Rom and Bryson and some dogs there. But I think +1 on the far reaches, even if you're a regular player.
Yeah.
So okay.
Good stuff, guys.
Sweet. Enjoyed it. Thanks everyone for the chat and for listening, tuning in wherever you listen to this. And we'll be back tomorrow around the same time.
Cheers.